On today's show, we are highlighting the top AHL rookie skaters. We've got high-scoring wingers, big-time power forwards, and defensemen with some offensive chops and everything in between.
You are Locked On NHL Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, and welcome back to Locked On NHL Prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On this show, we break down everything prospects related for you 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. I'm your host, Sebastian High, the USA scout over at Elite Prospects. And on today's episode, we'll be breaking down some of the top performing rookies throughout the American Hockey League. And these are almost exclusively going to be players between the ages of 19 and 21, very young players who've been drafted quite recently. And these are all guys that are shining for various reasons. We have pure snipers like Nick Lardis. We have power forward playmakers like the Ilya Protas, for example, and Quentin Musty as an offensive do-it-all big boy. We have a big-time defenseman like Yakemchuk, who has been shining offensively there with the Belleville Senators. And there's a lot of players, I think, in this year's AHL who are rookies who have just hit the ground running. It seems like there's a greater number of them this season than there are in an average year. Just a lot of players that have hit this level and are excelling, if not dominating, certain shifts on the ice, which is not the norm for young players coming into the AHL. It's one of the tougher leagues to adjust to. So a lot of young players to give shoutouts to over the course of this episode. But without further ado, let's not waste any time. But before we dive into this episode, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app right now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. So we've got 5 snipers and playmakers to look at here in the first segment. Then we're going to look at 4 power forwards in the second, and we'll wrap up the show by breaking down another 4 defensemen. You're going to have to wait for another episode for us to talk about the rookie netminders, but there are some fun storylines among that batch as well. So without further ado, let's kick things off with the top scoring AHL rookie as of current, and that is Nick Lardis of the Rockford Ice Hogs in the Chicago Blackhawks organization. He's played in 20 games so far in the AHL this season, and he's collected 11 goals, 11 assists for 22 points. He's just been everywhere, playing a really, really high-paced game. Lots of give and goes, finding space to create, and really, really intelligent in anticipating where space is going to open up, where it's going to develop, where he's going to have opportunities to score from mid to short range. And he's all about continuously evading pressure. He's always scanning his head, always trying to find those little nooks and crannies to make something happen. And he's able to create space for himself off the rush with quick delays, lots of quick passes with some deception implemented as well, whether it be shoulder fakes, head fakes, deceiving defenders with the eyes, all these different aspects. And Nick Lardis has a decent toolkit, I think, overall as a deceptive on-puck forward. His playmaking game has also shown a lot since the beginning of the season. He's always been a pure sniper in the OHL, but it's been the playmaking that's really impressed me personally the most. But the shooting threat is certainly still the pick of the litter in terms of the offensive tool at the moment, whether it be the one-timer, the catch and release, picking corners off the rush. Nick Lardis can do it all as a shooter. He's got that top 6 NHL upside, but he still has a lot to do in order to get there. He's going to have to become even more creative with the puck on his stick, especially as a playmaker, not only being a facilitator through his puck touches and controlling the play a little bit more as he drives offense. But this is a player with a lot of offensive potential, and he is showing it right off the bat here in the AHL, a player that I love watching play. He's got 3 2-goal games in the last 5. which is pretty insane. One came against Milwaukee, and both of the others came against the poor Texas Stars, who had to keep conceding goals to Nick Lardis. But he's doing a bunch of heavy lifting here for Rockford offensively, especially since Oliver Moore was called up. Those two had good chemistry, but Nick Lardis is now having to do more on his own. We move on to Matvei-Gridin of the Calgary Wranglers in the Flames organization. The 28th overall pick in the 2024 NHL draft has gotten off to a great start in the AHL. He's even gotten a call-up with the Flames where he played 4 games. He got a goal. But in the AHL, he's got 18 games under his belt, 8 goals, 20 points. He had a nice 3-point outing against Coachella Valley on Sunday in a 5-4 overtime win. He played a really big role in that one. And his pure and undeniable skill is just really, really impressive. And it's something that I had a lot of doubts about in his draft year, and every year since, he's just proving me wrong and showing me that he has a lot more talent than I thought he did a couple years ago. And he's a guy that can also beat someone with his feet in races for loose pucks. And he's a guy that definitely has some shifts that where he disconnects defensively a little bit. But overall, he's a really skilled shooter and passer alike. He's become a real double threat in the years since being drafted. He's got that escapability and handling skill to burst out of tight quarters and also be able to explode with some nice little bursts of speed. He's a player that just is showing a lot of skill at this level as a 20-year-old in the American Hockey League. 19-year-old, he only turns 20 on the 1st of March. Very impressive stuff there from Matvei-Gridin. But we move on to Quentin Musty of the San Jose Barracuda in the Sharks organization. He's up to 18 points on the season, 7 goals amongst those in 20 games played. He's on pace for 65 points in 72 games this year. Has had some really nice multi-point performances here in the last 10 games. 2 goals just on Saturday night against the Colorado Eagles, 2 assists against the Wranglers on the Wednesday prior, the 2 goals against the San Diego Gulls the Wednesday before that, and the Tuesday before that, 3 assist night against the Abbotsford Canucks. The month of November was a strong one for Quentin Musty, really showing off the handling skill, the creativity, the ability to really make things happen offensively with his big body, his reach, his really strong collection of puck skills, whether it be a really heavy shot, playmaking that's becoming more and more consistent, and handling skill that can just completely hypnotize opponents. Quentin Musty's got a fantastic toolkit. Then we've got Gabe Perreault from the Hartford Wolfpack in the New York Rangers organization. The 23rd overall pick in 2023 has gotten off to another great start as well in the AHL. He's also gotten into 3 games with the Rangers this season, got into 5 games there at the tail end of last campaign. But he has 14 points and 8 goals in 15 games so far this season, including a 2-goal game just on Saturday night against the Cleveland Monsters. He's a player that, with elite level intelligence, elite level understanding of time and space and anticipation, and playmaking and handling skill to match that level, he's got a lot going for him. His shot's gotten a lot better since his draft year as well. He's using that now more and more as defenses respect his playmaking talent and push off a little bit in order to block passing lanes. And with that extra beat of space and time, Gabe Perreault's been shooting more often this season in the AHL, and it's been going in for him, fortunately so. And he's a player I really love. He's so much fun to watch. He thinks the game the right way. He plays the game the right way. He's very efficient and effective in almost every shift. And I think he's a guy that should definitely be a top 6 piece with the Rangers within the next year, maybe year and a half. I don't think he's going to take too long. He's too smart to need all that long in the American Hockey League. And if he can add just that extra beat of explosiveness in his feet, this guy's got every single tool in the book. Then we move on to wrap up this first segment to Andrew Crystal of the Hershey Bears. Washington Capitals draft pick, 40th overall in 2023. He's a high-skill playmaking winger, 5'10", 183 pounds. He's undersized, and he is a subpar skater. This is the big knock on Andrew Crystal, but the playmaking, the dynamic hands, just the dynamism through and through. He's constantly trying to create through flashy maneuvers, and he has 14 points in 19 games so far this season with Hershey. Had a nice 2-assist night against the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins on Saturday, and had an assist in a losing effort against the Laval Rocket on Sunday, the night after. But he's a guy that, in terms of flashes of vision, is still one of the highest ceiling players, I think, among AHL rookie playmakers. And still, it's quite clear he's getting used to the pace and the intensity and the physicality of pro hockey. It's taking him some time. He's going to need a couple of years, I think, before he's fully ready for the National Hockey League, to the extent where he can also be creative offensively. And again, the combination here, the big concern here is the lack of both size and skating, and he struggles to win his battles, and that despite the fact that he is highly intelligent, the motor isn't the highest, and overall there are these aspects that could hinder his development. But with that elite IQ paired with those hands and the playmaking skill and just the oozing of dynamism, Andrew Crystal's got a high upside, but the points tallies don't tell the whole story here. He definitely still is just getting acclimated to the professional ranks. But that wraps up this first segment. In the next one, we'll talk about 4 big power forwards who are playing fantastic hockey. But before we do that, a quick message from our sponsors here at Locked On NHL Prospects. All right, let's keep this show rolling here as we stay with the Washington Capitals here with Ilya Protas, the first power forward that we're talking about here today. He's been on an absolute roll in the last 10 games. He's got 8 goals and 14 points in that stretch, especially the last 5 games. He's got 5 goals and 9 points. He's been on absolute fire here recently. Had a really nice 7-game point streak where he had all of those 14 points in a 7-game span. He's a really big net front presence. He's grown massively as a playmaker in the past year and a half. And on top of that, his goal scoring ability in tight to finish chances on loose pucks, jumping on those rebounds, tipping pucks. These are all things that Ilya Protas does really well and is excelling in the AHL, doing exactly those things. And he has a unique blend of size and power and skill in his game. With possession, you can see that the puck handling and finesse side of the game are actually quite decent as well, pieces of his toolkit. And he's been playing center a lot already with Hershey as well in that top 6 capacity. It's a point a game down the middle. He can make some high-end passes, but he rarely parlays extended possession into creating a shot for himself. He's more about pass and move rather than bulldoze into space in order to get his shot off. Where he does get his goals is really kind of mopping things up in the danger areas. Then we've got Igor Chernyshov of the San Jose Barracuda and the Sharks, 33rd overall pick in the second round of the 2024 NHL draft, and was obviously dominant with the Saginaw Spirit last season after coming back from injury. 19 goals and 55 points in just 23 games, way over 2 points a game there in the OHL last campaign. And he's just taken that momentum and run with it. So far in the AHL, 20 games played, 10 goals, 19 points, 12 minutes in the box. He's just been super involved, had a beautiful hat trick against the Abbotsford Canucks on the 11th of November. I watched that game and it was great. Had another 3-point night against the Abbotsford Canucks in a 4-3 overtime win on the 22nd, and another 3-point night here on Saturday night against the Colorado Eagles with a goal and 2 assists. Chernyshov's just been buzzing around. He's incredibly involved, constantly crashing the net front. He's got skill as a passer, as a shooter, really heavy release. Really have to be careful with him, not giving him too much space to get that shot off. And some defenses have been doing that in the AHL, which has been a point of issue for them in terms of conceding goals. But yeah, Igor Chernyshov with that high-end defensive IQ as well has just been so mature and refined and detailed in the AHL so far in his young professional career. And I have such high hopes for this player. I see him as a future top 6 NHL forward. I think he'd be a wonderful complement to the likes of Will Smith and William Eklund, for instance, to really elevate them, give them a shooting option, a power forward, a net crasher, an F1, a guy that can just do that physical dirty work while also keeping up with you mentally as well as with his tools. He's got all the puck skills to keep up with elite talent, and I think he's slotted to be that guy long-term in San Jose. Then we've got Daniil Boot from the Utah Mammoth organization playing with the Tucson Roadrunners in the American Hockey League, and he's got 17 points, including 8 goals in his first 19 games there this season. Also had a beautiful hat trick against Coachella Valley in a 4-3 overtime victory on the 8th of November. He's a player who's been very involved, and I think he's just a giant winger with some really nice tools, whether it be very heavy release, a deft playmaking touch, and a power forward frame that makes him dominate the net front. I really do see him as a potential middle 6 guy in the National Hockey League, with just so much in terms of what he can bring to the equation with his size, with that long reach, the flashes of dynamic puck handling, and just being able to absorb contact everywhere on the ice. This guy is a mammoth on the mammoth, and he's going to be an absolute pain to play against for NHL teams for years to come. Last but not least, among power forwards here to highlight, I've got Michael Brandsegg-Nygard from the Grand Rapids Griffins in the AHL, of course, the affiliate of the Detroit Red Wings. He was picked 15th overall in 2024. Good frame on him, 207 pounds, 6'1", right shot wing, can play both flanks. And he's a guy that played really nicely, if perhaps not flashy, in the SHL last season with Sollefteå, with 11 points in 42 games. But in the AHL, after just a single assist in 9 NHL games with the Red Wings, he was sent down. He wasn't quite ready for that level. What he is ready for, though, is the American Hockey League. 4 goals, 11 points in 13 games, while bringing all of these power forward elements, crashing the net front, being very direct with his attacks, and overall just being a pain, a real pain to play against. He's also a player that is shining more and more as he's given more offensive zone starts and offensive opportunities here in Grand Rapids. He's flashing really nice skill in transition with his creativity. He's got the motor and speed to control those rushes with real precision and intensity. And he also is a dual threat as both a playmaker and a shooter at this level. He's difficult to contain, able to score from anywhere, able to collect pucks along the perimeter, crash them into the middle of the ice, or do something a bit more along the inverse of crashing the net front first, picking a puck up there, recoiling into the mid slot, and spinning on himself to get a shot off. This guy can score in so many different ways, and it's that versatility that makes him incredibly valuable for the Detroit Red Wings. But that wraps up this second segment. In the final one, we'll wrap up the show with 4 defensemen worth a shout out here with their performances early on the season. But before we do that, a quick message here from our sponsors at Locked On NHL Prospects. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride out the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at an even bigger payout. I know that this is my personal favorite way to play, as it allows me to take multiple different swings on my different predictions in order to maximize my potential returns at the end of the day. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, let's wrap up the show here in the final segment, kicking things off with the biggest offensive threat from the blue line that we're covering here today, and that is without a doubt Carter Yakemchuk of the Belleville Senators, a player who has a goal and 9 points in his last 10 games, just coming off the back of a really nice 2-assist performance against the Providence Bruins on Saturday. He's a player that just brings so much creativity and aggressiveness to the equation. He's got an absolute howitzer of a shot, but it's been the handling skill and the playmaking opportunities that the hands open up that really has led to the most offense in Belleville so far this season. 16 points on the season in 22 games played, leads all defensemen in the AHL among rookies in scoring, and he's a player that brings just so much violence defensively, can be over-aggressive. He's overextended a few times. He kind of lacks the recovery speed that when he does get beat to be able to make that ground back up and catch back up to disrupt the play. I've seen him get burned a couple times, so it hasn't been perfect for Yakemchuk, but has he impressed me? Have I been surprised by the effortlessness with which he's been creating offense in the American Hockey League through his just puck skills, the hands, the playmaking, the heavy shot, the creativity, the desire to make things happen and challenge opponents head on? Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm impressed. This was not my expectation this season. He's also been a lot more kind of patient and calm as a defenseman, a lot more poised, I would say. Only 8 penalty minutes this season in 22 games. As a reminder, he had 120 penalty minutes in his draft year campaign in 66, had 82 penalty minutes last season in 56 games, and this year he's been keeping that under wraps with a lot more discipline. Carter Yakemchuk's been looking real good there for the Ottawa Senators. Then we move on to the Coachella Valley Firebirds with Tyson Jugnoth, an average size or undersized 5'11", 170-pound left shot defenseman there in the Seattle Kraken organization. And he was playing some excellent hockey in the WHL last season with the Portland Winterhawks, 13 goals, 89 points in 65 games. And he's just brought that momentum here to the American League with 2 goals and 12 points in 18 games. Really impressive production overall there for Jugnoth. And he's a player that understands the details that go into a successful creation game, the details of playmaking, of connecting plays, of the give and go, of really the breakout game as well. He's got a lot of these things under wraps in terms of the understanding of how to create sustainable offense without going for the flashiest play in the world, but rather with consistently progressive and meticulous plays in order to advance the puck up ice. That's Jugnoth's game to a T, and he's been playing it really, really nicely so far there in Coachella Valley in the American Hockey League and gaining more and more trust in the offensive zone. Definitely a winner here early on in the AHL season. Then we've got Stian Stolberg, the second to last player of today's episode. Very physically involved left shot defenseman from the Anaheim Ducks organization, playing with the San Diego Gulls. He was a 23rd overall pick in 2024, and he was playing in the SHL last season with Färjestad BK, where he had 12 points in 47 games, was quite physically involved, and then he came over to the AHL and had a nice 5 points in 10 games, really showing off a bit more offense in the American Hockey League. And this season, it's been a little bit quieter on that front, while it's been a bit louder on the penalty front and the violence going a little bit overboard at times. He has 6 points in 18 games, but 26 penalty minutes, really getting involved on that physical side of the ice, and a player that I think matches the AHL's style really, really nicely with his intensity, with his mobility, with his crushing hits along the boards. Stian Stolberg is made for North American professional hockey, and I think that he's a type of profile that the Ducks don't have in their defensive core at the moment. Apart from a guy like Jacob Trouba, I guess. But Stian Stolberg as a future bottom 4 physical, mobile, two-way defenseman who's able to move the puck up ice, kill rushes going back the other way, just be a really reliable but tough to play against left shot defenseman. Then we're going to finish off the show with a player I also liked in this draft year a lot like Stian Stolberg. That's Dominik Badinka of the Chicago Wolves and the Carolina Hurricanes. They nabbed him 34th overall in 2024. He's a big 6'3", 205-pound right shot defenseman who got into 2 AHL games at the tail end of last season, but is now playing there regularly with 19 games played, 3 goals, 5 points, very involved, tough to play against, not flashy, not a guy that's going to go end to end, not a guy that's going to get too involved offensively. He's more of a play connector, not much of a playmaker, but what he does do is stop the rush like an absolute king. He's difficult to get around. He's a strong skater, very strong physically. He's able to block any lane that players have into the offensive zone and stand them up at the blue line. Makes a good first pass as well. I think he's quite strong on retrievals, and that's something that makes him so projectable to the National Hockey League in my eyes. The points haven't jumped off the page this season, of course, but I think he's been playing some really solid hockey, and it was worth giving a shout out to because he's just taking some just very consistent steps in the right direction to eventually maybe become a number 4 or number 5 shutdown piece for the Carolina Hurricanes, but their blue line's already looking pretty packed. So I'm curious to see what they're going to do in the coming months and years to kind of sort out that logjam. But that wraps up this episode as well as the month of November here on the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. If you still are here tuned in, I definitely appreciate all of the support from the listeners over the course of the past weeks and months, and excited to dive into December with some momentum. Got a lot of coverage coming your way and maybe an interview or two as well. We'll see if I'm able to get that sorted. But that being said, that is the end of today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in as always. And I'll catch you listening again very, very soon.